Oh, so you thought the Fast and Furious franchise was over with Tokyo Drift? Well, congratulations, Boo Boo. You tried it. This is it, people. This is the moment we've all been waiting for as we continue Fast and Furious Reflections. This is the movie where everything is coming back together. Like a phoenix rising from the ashes, this franchise goes from being on its last legs to having a momentous rebirth. We thought there isn't anything more that the franchise could do, and then they came back with Fast and Furious. Justin Lin would return to direct, but not only that, every principal actor from the original Fast and the Furious would return as well, with what I thought was a pretty awesome tagline at the time of new model, original parts. Of course, thinking about it now 12 years later, I realize that tagline's actually kind of stupid when you think about it. If you're building a new model of a car, you wouldn't take the original parts from a previous model and put them in the new car because those parts are now worn down and rusted. They're not usable anymore. Like, this is how cars work. You replace those parts. But I forgive them because I appreciate the sentiment. In any event, we're opening up Fast and Furious 5 years after the events of the first film, and we catch up with Dominic Toretto and Letty, who are in South America ripping off gas tankers. Seriously, this may be one of the best cold opens to an action movie in a generation, and you are welcome to argue against this point with me on Twitter right down here. So come at me, bro. Because the moment Dominic Toretto plays chicken with a barreling gas tanker that is on fire coming towards him and wins, that is the moment where they have officially declared war on reality, and we're all the richer for it. Of course, Dom is kind of feeling like his outlaw lifestyle may be catching up to him and decides it's best if him and Letty part ways, which is, of course, very sad. Meanwhile, in Los Angeles, we are reintroduced to Brian O'Connor, who has been retconned yet again, and now this man is a whole-ass federal agent for the FBI. You cannot tell me that whiteness is not working overtime for this boy. I'm sure you could argue that this is something of a Frank Abagnale catch me if you can situation, where it just makes more sense for the federal authorities to hire this man rather than continue to have him at odds with them. Who knows? But the job in question for Brian is to take down a powerful drug cartel boss by the name of Braga, who is using street racers to get his product out of Mexico in the United States, and Brian needs to find out how. Now, this ultimately puts Brian at odds with Dom, who returns to the States after he discovers that Letty had come back prior to this and gotten herself mixed up with the cartel that Brian is investigating, and of course wants some revenge. So he's putting it all out on the line here because he's obviously still a wanted man, but he does not seem to care, and neither do the makers of this film. This is where reality got up from its chair, chucked up the deuces, and ceremoniously walked out of the franchise, because for all of the absurd things that happen in the subsequent Fast and Furious films, nothing is more absurd than the idea that Dominic Toretto comes back into the United States. The FBI knows he's back. They have him spotted in his old neighborhood, and they never think to post agents at his house where his sister still lives, and where he is featured in no less than half a dozen scenes in this film. If you really, really wanted to catch Dominic Toretto, all you had to do was the bare minimum, and they don't even do that. Justin Lin and screenwriter Chris Morgan know what they want to focus on. They know that they have these original actors back, and all they need to really work on is making sure that they have, as bare bones a plot as possible, something that's easy to follow, and then just making sure that when it comes to the car scenes, the action set pieces, that's where this film is going to shine, and that is where it does shine. Because you have things like the whole audition race for Braga's #1 guy, Campos, played by John Ortiz, and it's an amazing set piece as far as the whole idea of Brian and Dom and 2 other racers having to race through open LA traffic at night and use GPS to get to their final destination of the finish line. And again, we have this great moment where the other 2 racers are not nearly as good at driving as Dom and Brian are, as evidenced by the fact that both of them end up in spectacular wrecks that there is no conceivable way they could have survived. Again, you have to credit this franchise for being so nonchalant about killing off no-name characters in what are essentially supposed to be job interviews. But it's also legit character building for Brian and Dom, because you have all of these unspoken things between them after 5 years, and you see them with their own agendas and how that all clashes. So it's a matter of how are they going to get over this to ultimately work together and take down Braga's organization. And it's legitimately thrilling to watch from a character standpoint. But again, you still have great moments like the whole tunnel sequence of them driving from Mexico through tunnels and mountains to get over back into the United States. And it's all about precision and speed and making sure you're staying in formation, because it's dark and you have to worry about Border Patrol, and you have this whole anxiety as to whether or not they're going to make it across before Border Patrol detects them. And again, it's all staged very well. There's obviously some CG involved in creating the tunnels for the cars to drive through, which I didn't mind as much as the CG cars from Too Fast, Too Furious, for example. And you just have something that I think works conceptually. The execution isn't 100% perfect, but it's still something that we hadn't seen in the films up until this point. So again, this is something new and inventive. And you obviously have the final chase scene in Mexico, and all of that going on with multiple cars, again, more of that tunnel sequence. And it's just fun to watch. And this is the thing, Fast and Furious is just a fun movie to watch. And you have little character beats here and there, but you're there for the car scenes, you're there for the action, and the movie absolutely delivers on that front. We also have to talk about the fact that this is the point in the Fast and Furious franchise where Dominic becomes a literal superhero. Brian's reintroduction to Dom early in the film comes where Dom is holding a dude outside of a window by his leg with both of his hands, and I don't care how big your muscles are, that's hard to do. And it even gets more ridiculous when Dom tries to interrogate a mechanic for information and threatens to drop an engine on him that Dom is holding by a chain with one hand. But wait, it gets more ridiculous because we also see Dom get shot in the shoulder and not even flinch. And he just turns to the dude that shot him as if he threw a pebble at him and then proceeds to beat his ass. To say nothing of him investigating the crash where Letty died and reenacting the whole thing in his mind with so much detail it's not even funny. So to the point that he's looking at burn marks on the asphalt and saying to himself, there's only one thing that could have made that burn, and now I have a clue to go after whoever would have customized someone's car with this particular chemical or fuel additive or whatever. It's stupid. Like, you're sitting here telling me that CSI ain't got nothing on Dominic Toretto? Come on now. We also have to talk about the delightful absurdity of John Ortiz as Campos and just the whole twist of him actually being Braga. Because, you know, we need some sort of surprise moment for the audience, as if we couldn't figure that out on our own. Like, seriously, it does not take more than a single functioning brain cell to see this twist coming. But again, you kind of have to just roll with it, because by this point, The Fast and the Furious has established itself as a ridiculous franchise that does not concern itself with reality and just is throwing out all of these things that they know the audience is going to pick up on and figure out. It's not going to be a surprise, and it's not going to add to your enjoyment of the film, which is already pretty damn enjoyable as it is. And you just look at John Ortiz's performance where he's just being cartoonishly evil, especially in that moment where Dom and Brian realize what the audience had already known pretty much from jump. And all bets are pretty much off at this point, because you've got things like Dom being able to turn one of Braga's crew, played by Gal Gadot, in her theatrical film debut, I believe, and you have this whole thing with her helping him get to Braga in Mexico because he saved her life when Braga was trying to escape and almost ran her over. So I guess you can understand her being able to switch allegiances like that, and it just leads to this bug nuts insane finale in Mexico where we're just pulling out all of the cars, everyone's crashing all over the place. And of course, this puts Dom in a position to take down not Braga necessarily, because he's letting Brian bring him in by the book, but he wants Braga's main goon, Phoenix, who was the trigger man who killed Letty, and he says to himself, okay, I'm gonna run you down with this car that has F-bombs spray painted on the side of it. And Phoenix is trying to get away, but Brian is holding his feet there, and you get that great little split-second moment where Phoenix realizes, kind of like Wile E. Coyote in a Looney Tunes commercial, that, oh crap, I'm about to get completely foobarred by this car. And it is incredible. It is easily my favorite villain death in the entire franchise, which I suppose isn't really saying much, because there aren't that many villain deaths in the Fast and Furious franchise when you really get down to it. But again, we're in this situation where we're not really worried with things like reality, because even after Dom helps Brian bring Braga to justice, he decides he's going to stay and face the consequences of his actions, which the courts decide is a sentence of, hold on, let me check my notes here, 25 years to life? I'm sorry, you help bring down a drug cartel boss for the FBI, and you're getting 25 years to life for boosting combination DVD VCRs? I'm sorry. The 3 strikes rule in Los Angeles or California be damned, because this is stupid. See, this is the great thing about the Fast and Furious franchise, because you are getting a lesson. You are being schooled on systematic racism and white privilege, because you see how in Too Fast, Too Furious, white boy Brian was able to be brought in by the feds, and they say, hey, you help us bring down this drug cartel boss, we'll let you walk. But damn it if they're going to do that for our biracial brother over here, Dominic Toretto. No, he's got to pay the ultimate price. He needs to go to jail for the rest of his life. Are you absolutely kidding me? Thankfully, Brian, he's woke now and everything like that. He's got his boo thing Mia with him. He says, yo, let's call up Dom's boys who helped him jack gas tankers in South America, and let's break our dude out. This isn't Point Break anymore, people. This is Prison Break, and y'all know what it is. And this is great. This is like, you know, full circle moment here where all of these characters, you know, they get some sense of closure. Yes, it would have been jacked up if this franchise ended and Letty were dead, but it's still something where Dom is looking at this new family that he has. Brian has this family now that he's now a part of. He's sort of adopted Dom's philosophy wholesale and said, you know what, if this is what it means to be part of a family, then I am all in. I will break the law. I will throw away my FBI badge because I don't give a fuck anymore. This is what he's about now. And this is something that would have been great as an endpoint for the franchise if the film didn't end up making twice what Fast and the Furious Tokyo Drift did with the same budget. So, of course, we had to get a fifth film. Hey guys, thanks for watching as always. If you've got your own thoughts or opinions on Fast and Furious that you would like to share, go ahead and leave a comment in the section below. Don't forget to hit the like button, hit the notification bell, share this video with your friends and family, and if you'd like to keep up to date on more At Random videos, you can do so by clicking the subscribe button right over here.